What is going on, guys? How we doing? This is Dynasty Degens. We're doing a special pod today. We are talking about a mailbag episode for our Discord that doesn't really show us any love, so I don't know why we're showing them love, but whatever. We're gonna ride with it. So we're gonna kick it off. Dane, I'm just gonna introduce you guys real quick. I got the Mad Dog as always, my trusty
What's up,
co-host. How
man?
you doing, man?
Good, man. Good morning. Happy Friday.
Oh man. Well, we're not dropping this on Friday, so don't say happy Friday. But OG Curdy, what's up, man? How we doing?
Hey,
Second pod?
yeah, getting the reps in. Looking forward to a little mailbag Q&A.
Yeah, man. I look tired. I'm looking at my eyes right now. Man, I'm glossed up. I'm exhausted. We dropped the pod last night. We got a couple things cooking. We will have the Dynasty show, I guess, dropping today if you're listening to this on Saturday. And then we have a lot of stuff going on for next week, too. I have a couple rookie profiles, and it's just definitely a crazy time of the year for us. I guess it's going to be a crazy time always with a Dynasty show. I don't think we ever sleep, so that's just how it goes. But Dane, why don't you kick us off with the mailbag? So what we did, we asked the Discord, pressing questions, anything that they had for us. We just opened it up, open forum. So we're going to have some fun with this, talk values, talk players, a little bit of everything. But let's just start with the first question.
All right, guys. So the first question brought in was from Big Game Dynasty. He asked, where do you have Marvin Harrison Jr. ranked? Would you consider him a buy low candidate? And if so, what are you willing to pay?
I'll defer this to you, OG. You let us know how you feeling about this.
Yeah, it's a great question. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot. I know some people viewed him as a disappointment in his rookie season. Right now, he'd be, in terms of this draft class, he'd be the first wide receiver taken. He'd be pushing Janty for 101. So in terms of what I'd be willing to trade for him, uh, anything 102 and later right now. I don't like doing 1-for-1 trades, but if you can get it done, or wait till you're on the clock in the rookie draft and see if Marv's available.
Yeah, man, I think that's a really good point of waiting until you're on the clock in your rookie draft and some of that fever sets in, and you might be able to get a good deal out of that. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. as my wide receiver 13 right now. I would definitely consider him a buy low. I think he would be the wide receiver one in this class, like you said. And I totally agree on price point. If it's paying up for the 102 to get him, I'm going to go and smash that deal.
Yeah, I mean Marvin Harrison Jr. to me is a promised talent, and the fact that his value is so incredibly high still is valid. Personally, I think that he should be still valued super high. There's a 3-year window in most dynasty leagues where you view guys as values, especially coming out as rookies. But there is some issues that I see with him at the NFL level, and I don't think it's all Kyler. I think that he has trouble following through with his route tree. I think he has issues getting the separation. I think he takes too many steps when he stop go. I noticed when I watch his tape in the NFL that he is decelerating at an unusual rate. When he comes in, he comes out of his breaks and he goes to change directions and he takes 2 extra steps, and it's just like not a good sign. When I watch tape, I assess the breaks and then I assess the change of direction and what you need to do that. It should be fluid. It should be just like a seamless thing that you do at the next level, especially when you're at that talent level. I think what separates really good guys from the nonchalant, like mid-tier people that are just lucky with their separation is that they can be fluid and they can get out of there. And I don't see that from Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. And maybe it's just a mental game because he used to do it in college all the time. He was very fluid, and there wasn't a lot of uncomfortability when it came to the way that he broke out there. But I think he can figure it out. I think it's a big Kyler issue too. I don't know. I would take him over every wide receiver in this class outside of Hunter goes in that full on wide receiver mode. So I don't know if I would take him over a couple running backs though. Is that spicy? I think I would prefer, if I'm in a compete mode, I would probably rather the window of Travion Henderson or one of the QBs. I would take, obviously, Cam. I might even take Shador Sanders over him at this point. And it's not even that I think Marvin Harrison won't hit. I just think that we are looking at a window of success in Dynasty, and I think you have a quicker window to find that success if you take one of these guys outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to hit. I just think it's going to be a little bit of time, and I don't even know if he's going to ever get to the value that we have him at currently.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think taking the quarterbacks over him might be a little bit spicier in my opinion. I think those running backs are going to come in and get some landing spots that they can produce right now for you. And like you mentioned about the Cardinals with Marv, like they signed Trey McBride. It might be a Kyler issue. It might be a Pertzig issue. The OC, I think I butchered his name there, but you know, it's kind of an artificial value right now that we're still trying to hold him at.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that I think the quarterbacks will outproduce him, but I think that when you're in a super flex league, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s value is going to fall even farther, especially next year. I don't. He has to do what we expected him to do this year, and that is probably not likely, given that there's not a lot of differences in that offense. I mean, not completely different situations. You know, he's still got the same quarterback, and I don't know the offensive scheme there, but he's probably going to have another guy with him that might either help him or hurt him as far as the NFL draft goes. I think they're probably going to tap a wide receiver too that they feel comfortable with pairing with Marvin Harrison Jr. at some point in the draft. But you know, we saw every quarterback in the class last year take over value from Marvin Harrison Jr. when he was drafted over all of them. You know, like we are looking at, you know, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and even Bo Nix having equal to more value than, well, definitely more value at this point than Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Cam Ward might be able to supersede the value. I don't think Shador or Dart or anybody else in the class will, but you're already looking at the 103 if you're going to take Genty, Cam Ward.
If Hampton's first round, that's another conversation too.
Yeah, and it's you just have to assess your window to win at that point. But
yeah, team dependent. I mean, if you need wide receiver, Marv's going to be better or equal to Travis Hunter, like you said, from this draft class.
Yeah. All right, Dan, what's next on here?
Okay, guys, the next question is from Bruiser44. And he asks, who is one prospect you feel most comfortable drafting above ADP in the 202 to the 204 range? So, Nerd, we can start with you on that one.
So a prospect that I'm comfortable drafting in the 202, 204 range. This is all subjective at the point of where we are in the process, because this question is going to completely change come draft day, you know, and most people are drafting after the NFL draft. So I could tell you where I have these guys now and how I would draft, but it's not going to be the same. It never is, you know, like there's so many shifts happening and people are going to get really good landing spots, really bad landing spots that are in the same tier. And that's going to just totally jump over. A guy that I'll definitely take early is Devin Neal. I think I'm fine with wherever he goes right now. I think he's going to probably take over that backfield wherever he is at some point. I think that's just the talent level that he has. He's a very complete back, and he's outside of that top tier. So I think he's probably going to be easily had within a second, early second, wherever. I mean, even if he lands in a money spot, if he's like, you know, going to the Bengals and shares with Chase Brown, he might even still be a value just because people are like, well, Chase Brown clears him and this and that. He doesn't. I would take Devin Neal over Chase Brown all day, every day of the week. But that's really the mentality that most people would have. So I think Devin Neal is somebody in that range. I think a Higgins would probably feel good, but he's already being profiled as somebody that might get that high DC right now. So I don't even know if he's going to be there right now. Yeah, it's it's tough, man. There could easily be massive pushback. Like if Dart gets first round draft capital and Shador's there, you're looking at 3 quarterbacks in the first round. So then everything gets pushed back dramatically. And the 201 is already somebody like Burden or Golden or, like one of the 4 running backs. Like you could be looking at a Keyshawn Judkins even at that range, like just crazy value already at the 201 because it's like there's nobody that you really need to reach for. I wouldn't even overreach at that rate. You have to take the guy that you think is going to have the best NFL career, and you're not at a reach point there. Like 202 to 204, there's going to be so much value already. So I can't really drop like specific names per se, but I'll defer to the guys and maybe they have more insight on that.
Yeah, go ahead, Kurt. You let me know what you think.
Yeah, like you said, well, this answer will change after the NFL draft for sure, especially if those quarterbacks go and Hunter is a wide receiver. That's going to push everything down. I mean, you could be looking at Caleb Johnson at that pick if he's a second round running back, because if Golden, Burden, Hunter, Tet all go first round, those guys are getting taken over day 2 running backs in your rookie drafts, or should be. It's going to just create a insane value pocket, in my opinion. I've been trying to acquire more early seconds, just because that tier is just going to get bigger. And the other guy that might jump up from that, because he said take ahead of ADP, RJ Harvey is someone who's going to be. I'm ready to see where that draft capital is and where the landing spot is, because he is someone that has been on fire as far as.
I don't think you're going to get him early at all. I mean, I'm looking at there's so many little RJ Harvey hives out there.
Yeah.
If you look at rankings right now, I'm looking at some rankings right now, and it's like, Debro has him as his wide or his running back 5. There's, I don't know, there's just a big drum that's being banged right now as far as his value goes, and I think he's probably going to be in that tier of. I think he's probably the first running back taken after the 4th.
After the 4.
I think so. He could be RB5 taken at this point, or probably RB5. I'm not going there. I don't see it that way, but I think a lot of people do. So,
and if he lands in a crowded backfield, like what if Philly takes him? Like that's going to push him down potentially. If he's
you always see this. Everyone had Zach Charbonnet as their RB2 in that class. Like I think people had. Well, it was a question. Like, would you rather take? Obviously, it looks silly now, but the rhetoric was Gibbs or Jack Charbonnet, and a lot of people were in the Sharp train. And I think if he landed in a perfect spot like Gibbs did, we would have seen that flip upside its head, and we see what Sharp is now when he gets a full workload. I think there's a very real possibility that if he landed in like in the Chargers or somebody that needed a workhorse guy, like we could have easily saw him as a top 5 running back in Dynasty. And who knows? I mean, what if they send Kenneth Walker off? But like that's just that happens. He fell all the way to the end of the 2nd round for a lot of drafts after he landed with Kenneth Walker. So,
yeah. So like you guys said, it's very fluid. Draft capital kind of reigns king on this. And we always talk about these rookies coming in that they're going to go in and nuke a running back that already has a spot on a team. But you're always going to have somebody, like you said, just with Charbonnet that, we might be very high on a certain player and they get drafted and they might not get opportunity until year 2 or year 3. One guy that I'm still high on, I think that he's going to come in and he can command a backfield if he gets the right opportunity, and that is Cam Scadaboo. I think he had that hype for a bit where we saw him in our mocks. He was kind of in the early first, and it seems like that steam has cooled off a bit, and he's falling back to the mid to the late seconds. But with his vision, his strength, and his receiving capabilities, I think he can come in and really get a good workload right from the get-go. I think there are things that he needs to work on. He seems a little bit choppy between the lines and tries to do too much when he just needs to get that burst, find the hole, and go. But that would be the guy that I would be looking to get in that range if we're ranking solely based off ADP.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys you could throw in there. Like there's the DJ Giddens, who is somebody that I think is in that Harvey range right now. Jalen Noel, somebody that I've been drumming a lot as far as a very good wide receiver that probably is being overlooked. We did a Higgins or Noel conversation last night on the pod. And it's a lot closer for me than I would, I think that a lot of people feel, but there's just a ton of value. Like, I think it's right now, it looks like there's a surefire pick from 101 to 203 at this point. And that's going to change it, but it always looks chalk at this time of the year. Before everybody lands, it's like the same class that we were talking about. Kendre Miller was a first round draft pick in a lot of people's minds. Like this running back class is not going to be as good as people think it's going to be. You're going to see like 6 or 7 guys that are going to be good. And they're going to see like 6 or 7 guys that land in a horrible spot, and they're going to essentially disintegrate in value. So it's just, there's no way that 14 to 15 running backs are going to come into the league and be like, breakers for dynasty. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, man. Okay, on to the third question here. We have that dude, Danny D. What draft pick would you give up for a San Fran wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall?
I'm kind of weary about Ayuk coming off that ACL personally.
Yeah, I think he's a good buy right now, but I think that you're going to have to anticipate a dead year this year. So it's hard for me to give up a good amount of value for somebody that I think is not going to help me at all this year. You have to be in a complete folded situation in your dynasty league, and I think even then you're probably better off taking like a Higgins or a one of the guys, one of the Cyclones, or like there's other people that I think I would rather have over Ayuk, even in like the early second at this point. So
yeah, I think based off productions, I think I'd be going and buying Juwan Jennings. Me included here, I'm kind of on Team Purcell where I think he's going to have a year this year, but his price is kind of floating up to, after we saw that Debo trade, where he's an early second to mid second, and I don't know if I want to risk that yet. I think I'd be more comfortable buying Jennings if I can get him for a third, maybe 2/3, because I think the production is going to be there, and the Niners are really going to rely on him this year for that production with Ayuk being out.
Go ahead.
No, I think they're going to take somebody in the draft, and I think that one of these guys is going to just get pushed out of nothing. I don't know if I like picking anybody on this list right now as far as a buy. I mean, if we're talking about value wise, I agree that Jennings is probably the best value, but I don't think that what we see on that team right now is what we're going to see come September.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead, OG.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I was just going to say I had Jennings in a couple best ball drafts last year, and he had smash weeks. I mean, he was going super cheap. The value versus the points on your roster, I agree with the two of you, is who I'd be targeting, because he did it already last year when there was no Ayuk and there was no Pearsall and there was no Debo.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. He did it when there was nobody there. So it's like, what does he do when Pearsall and we Pearsall and maybe a Luther Burden or something, like who knows? What if they get Luther Burden in the second round and they're looking at Luther Burden, Ricky Pearsall, Kittle? One of those guys is not Jennings is probably the guy that's going to get squeezed out of that situation if we're talking about if they take another guy at this point.
Certainly could be. I mean, again, wait till you're on the clock with these rookie picks. I would not advise moving them right now because we have more information from the NFL draft for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy right now, but
Mm-mm.
if I had to put a price point just to answer the question, I mean, Brandon Ayuk is a mid-second for me. Juwan Jennings is a mid-third for me. Ricky Pearsall is probably the 203 range for me.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, I think you nailed it with those prices.
Yeah.
I think Pearsall has got more value than Brandon Ayuk right now, and I think Ayuk is a buy. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't. I would wait. I would wait to buy Ayuk for another 2 months, 3 months when he's not ready for the season, and then it's like people are just going to want to get anything for him at
As
that
soon
point. They're
as
going to,
soon as he goes on pup, that's when you got to
yeah,
strike.
people want to just shed him because they're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm not waiting for this. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right. So this is from Shimmy. 1 QB start 9.5 PPR, no tight end premium. It's a very shallow league. The owner has Lamar. What are you adding to Mark Andrews to get to Hawkinson?
Single QB.
Yeah.
Start with Andrews 25 third, 26 third, 2/3.
Man, the fall of Andrews is insane at this point. I mean, I like Hawkinson. I think I have Hawkinson to um like significantly over in Dynasty, but when I draft tight ends, I want the tight end that profiles as the one or the two on the team as a whole. I think that's how you have to value tight ends. I Hawkinson might be the fourth option on his team certain games, and especially if they take, I don't know if they're going to have the ability to take a running back, but even then you're talking about JJ Addison, and then if they do take a pass catching running back, I mean, it's just he's going to have really good games and really bad games. Andrews is the second option on a team, but they don't throw half as much as you would like them to do. But we don't know what happens with JJ McCarthy either. I mean, you assume that they're going to still throw the amount that they did last year with Darnold, but it's, I mean, I don't think they're that far apart if you're talking about a team that wants to compete and needs points.
Yeah, I agree. Like Andrews had a tough end to the season. Obviously, he was coming off those injuries. I think he got in a car accident as well. If I'm looking to sell Andrews to get Hawkinson, I'm going to try and do it with a third round pick. You might have to move up to a late second and a 1 QB. That I think I'm fine. But if you get into that early second, even mid second, I think value is going to drop there. And then I would rather just keep Andrews.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's coming off an injury. He wasn't really himself last year, and that tightrope injury takes a good amount of time to recover from. And even when you're back, you're playing differently because you are trying to you're extra aware of your limitations and stuff. So it's like I think he's going to have a much better year this year, and I think people are going to regret selling him. But I mean, if I'm going to try to go to Hawkinson, I think it's almost a lateral move for if we're talking the shelf life of a tight end. Mark Andrews is 29. Do we know how much old? 28 or 29? I think he's
Either way, if he's 30, he's got another 3 years, right? At a
Yeah,
minimum.
he'll be 30
yeah,
going into this season.
yeah. So you're talking about guys that they almost get better in their 30s. Like we see what Kelsey did in his age 30 season. He became a top tight end when he was 30 years old. Um, Gronk played until 34. Like there's these guys, they play very well. Look at Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is with the opportunity, killing it right now. Um, I think that Andrew still has a solid 3 to 4 years before we talk about him being dead in the water. And I don't know. If I have Andrews, I'm not adding value. I'm just going to keep him at that point.
Okay.
But
next question comes from our guy SC Romero. Many times QBs hit year one and do not live up to the same expectations the following year. Which quarterback from the 24 class is a sell for you because they won't live up to their rookie season? JJ and Penix can be included because there's hype around them, so are they sell high candidates in superflex leagues?
OG, I'll start with you, man. I've been talking a lot.
Okay. Me personally, I would keep JJ and Penix separate because the NFL didn't see them, right? They didn't have a rookie year. That's why I think the year two dip for some quarterbacks happens is these defensive coordinators get a full year of tape on these rookies that succeeded and take away what they do well. A good example of that was CJ Stroud from his rookie year. He averaged 18.7 fantasy points per game, large in part to 4,000 passing yards, 23 passing touchdowns. He added 3 on the ground, and then in year two, he went down to 13.7 fantasy points per game. He had more pass attempts in year two and had 400 less yards, no rushing touchdowns, and less passing touchdowns. I know a lot plays into it, but someone from last year's rookie class, like Bo Nix, to me, the Broncos made the playoffs too, so their schedule is going to be even more difficult going into 2025. And he was just someone that, kind of ran pure. He had 29 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing, 19.4 fantasy points per game. That was quarterback 8 last year. Yeah, he's just someone who the NFL has a full year of tape on, like I said, and that difficult schedule in his second year. I know he's got Sean Payton, but I'm interested to see where that rookie dip goes to.
Yeah. I think it is tough to. All right, if you're talking about sells in Dynasty, JJ and Penix don't have the value that we're talking about to be a sell. They're currently undervalued in most Dynasty market. Like you're talking about guys that you can get in the 5th round, 6th round in superflex rookie drafts right now. There's no value there. They haven't even touched the value that they can touch. Like you're not going to sell a guy that's going in the 6th that could go in the 3rd round next year, or the 4th round, or the 2nd round, whatever it is that they could climb up to. They haven't climbed up to their value yet. I think Bo Nix is the correct answer. I think he's somebody that's peaked right now. I personally love what I see from Drake May. I think that he has all the makings of a super flex stud as far as the way that he goes. Bo Nix running is very manufactured. Drake May that's his game. Like the way that he plays and just the decision making and the processing that he shows. I think Bo Nix still is going to be a valuable quarterback in Dynasty, and I think that he probably is going to still hold a good amount of value, but I don't know if he's going to be like right now. I think you could sell Nix for Drake May plus in some leagues. I think you could sell Nix for Justin Herbert plus. I think you could sell Nix for Caleb Williams plus. I think that these are all real situations that could happen in your dynasty leagues, and I would do them in a heartbeat. I would take any plus on any of these guys because I think Nix is going to settle in as like a quarterback 12, like 11, 12 in that range. We saw Justin Herbert regress. We saw CJ Stroud regress. We see these guys that are not runners in the NFL, like not like running quarterbacks. They always struggle to transition because you're right. They have that extra tape. They have all their motions. They have all their reads. They can see their tells, everything that translates to the next season. They can look at that as a defensive package and settle in and game plan for you a little better. Sorry, I'm getting cold right now. I'm getting like sick. I'm like congested as hell. But yeah, Bo Nix is the guy that I'm selling because he holds the most value, and I think he's probably the most likely candidate to at least either stay the same or take a step back this year.
Okay.
Whereas as everyone else in that class, I think improves. Or like Jaden Daniels, you could say he's a sell, but I think he just stays the same. I think he just like is still going to be viewed as he just has too good of a team, and his skill set, Stroud doesn't have that running to back him up. So I think there was a lot of things, a perfect storm that bumped Stroud down. Jaden Daniels always has that in his back pocket. Like the value's still going to be there. He's still going to get 12 to 15 points on his feet a game most of the time.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Jaden Daniels, because that was one guy that I kind of contemplated calling as my sell, but I think they go and they address running back, and they add another weapon for him, that it isn't just Terry and Zach Ertz there. So if his rushing does go down a bit, I think we just see an uptick in his passing, and he stays relatively the same in his production and his value in Superflex right now.
Yeah, I'm with it. All right, let's go to the next guy.
All right, so this is from Morrison. It's kind of a long-winded one. The Chiefs realistically won't draft a running back before round 4. Pacheco came back from that injury very early, and I believed it sapped the explosiveness from him. It happened to Pollard too. He didn't look like himself for a while. His injury was almost worse than Pacheco, and with ample time to recover, why are we not buying Pacheco?
We're not buying Pacheco because if they take a running back in the 4th round, he's still going to be drafted 3 rounds before Pacheco was. So it's like, are you going to not undervalue Pacheco because there's 100% chance he's going to be sharing the backfield with somebody? And the only reason he had the value that he did was because he was getting 100% of the snap shares. Like he was essentially one of the last workhorse backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think when that window shuts, we see a dramatic drop in the value. We see Tyler Algier year 2. That's like we valued Algier as like a solid, like where Pacheco was before. That's where Algier was at one point in time. That's he had the same draft capital and he was in the same position and he was just the only guy, and they almost have the same style where they're just like bowling balls and they're just like reckless with their running style. They don't have the skill set to translate to the next contract. Like they don't have the skill set to be like, okay, we can be a complementary back piece. Whoever they draft is going to be much better as a complete running back. And they might work him in and he might get some goal line work and stuff like that. But I'm not buying Pacheco anywhere ever right now. Like this is not going to happen. Even if he might be a good handcuff in the near future.
Yeah, I just think he's in that glob of running backs that he's not a pass catcher. He has to grind everything out. He doesn't have a high explosive rate, even pre-injury. So now that he's averaging under 4 yards per carry, I just think that you can go out and reset the clock on maybe one of these rookies, or you can go buy a different vet that's going to give you more production and has a steadier role. Because when the Chiefs bring back Rice or they draft somebody, Andy Reid likes to rotate his backs. I just don't see any reason why we're going out and buying Pacheco right now.
Yep. You guys summed it up. And all I'll say is Kareem Hunt smashed just because he had the workload last year. He was waiver wire.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt looked better than Pacheco. I know Pacheco was banged up, but I think the fact that you can take some guy that was on the couch and throw him on that team and have him look better and be like 6 years older than you, I think that's just a telltale sign that you're probably cooked. As far as the dynasty value goes, I mean, I would not buy him. I think I'd rather take a mid-third and maybe work with that over Pacheco at this point. But
yeah,
I could be wrong. He just is in that he's going to get a league mate, somebody that's going to be share the backfield with him. And I think it wouldn't take a lot for somebody in the 3rd round to like an RJ Harvey. Giddens, all these guys, Ollie Gordon, like anybody would take the job from Pacheco that is in that range, because we're talking about an extremely deep running back class. Fourth rounder in this class is probably equivalent to maybe the RB1 last year.
There's going to be UDFAs this year that had draftable grades. Like, it's that deep.
Yeah. And when I don't think the NFL is completely the same as it used to be, but we're still seeing signs that they don't value the running back that was taken extremely late in drafts. They will take another guy in that range and just replace you. And we see it all the time. Like I told you, Algier, there's James Robinson, like these guys that have incredible value for a couple, you know what I mean? Like Dowdle, like all these guys that like will be a plug and play, but they don't care. They're not paying you a lot of money. They're not valuing you. Like your contract says all that needs to be said about how they value you in the NFL. And that's your longevity. Like you can look at a player's contract and say, that's how long he's going to be relevant in dynasty. And even then that's not true, but like that shows at least some weight on a running back. And you look at, okay, if you're getting paid $5 million, $6 million a year, you're not safe at all. You're a backup. And I think that's what Pacheco is at this point.
Okay, so piggybacking off that last question from Morrison, he also asked, what are some prime landing spots you guys would like to see your rookies land in?
For running backs?
Yeah.
Or just,
yeah. Yeah, your running backs, a la Bucky Irving last year going to the Bucks.
I mean, you want some open zone schemes. You want to have those teams that have either a desperate need at running back or have that like a Buffalo Bills type offense. Like I've already dropped the Buffalo Bills as a prime spot for a lot of guys that we've done rookie profiles for, because they have that open zone scheme. They work through the run game, like they have Josh Allen, that's a weapon, and they have to essentially game plan around Josh Allen. And that's why the running back gets so much play in that offense, because they're so worried about what Josh Allen's going to do, is that the running back has these free release open zones, and he's got like huge holes and stuff. And there's always somebody that's playing robber in the back protection. So I think Bills, I want to see, I mean, the Chargers obviously is a great spot. I know that Najee Harris just went there, but he at this point is on a 1-year contract. And then we're looking at the top end guys. Chubb is cooked. I would love to see somebody go to Cleveland. There's, help me out with a couple spots here. There's so many good spots that need actual running backs.
Yeah, like I think the Broncos need to go and address that need, and whoever lands in that spot is going to get massive opportunity.
Yeah, I think the Broncos need a wide receiver too. So I think it could be a late round running back that lands there. I think that you're looking at a 3rd or 4th round pick for them, because they do have to address probably a running back in the 1st or 2nd there. So what about you, Curdy? Where do you want to see your guy go?
Yeah, I had 2. I had the San Francisco 49ers, because they have other areas to address early, and they always take a running back with that compensatory 3rd round pick that they always seem to have. And who knows about CMC? The other spot I had was Houston, behind Joe Mixon, who's older, and that contract, I think they can get out after this year. And Dameon Pierce is Dameon Pierce. I mean, he had his limelight, but that spot on that team, I know Nick Caley, new offensive coordinator, will be a little bit different than Slovic, but it just need opportunity. And if Joe Mixon goes on IR again this year, it's just wheels up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that Houston landing spot.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of spots that you're gonna look at and say, okay, I'm gonna move him up a little bit, but man, I mean, there's still like, I wouldn't fade anybody if they land on a team with a good running back, because contracts fade and people fall out of favor all the time.
I think I have one sneaky spot that I was thinking of, and it ties in well with this Bucky Irving. And I think that is the Jaguars. I think this draft class will allow a running back to go there and push ETN and Bigsby, and I think that they can carve out a role in that Liam Cohen offense.
I love that call.
I like it. I also want ETN to – I think there's a new coaching tree over there, and there's – I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that ETN finds himself in that backfield. But I agree that they could easily just say, I don't like anybody that's on this team, and then go and grab somebody. I think that the 49ers are definitely the smash spot that I'm looking at right now, because CMC has shown that he can't really stay healthy for a full season, and the system is in place. We just saw 4 different running backs be RB1 on that team last year. It didn't matter who they threw in there. That team was designed for a running back, and you could, not to take away from anything that CMC does, but Jordan Mason was an RB1.
Yeah. I think one of the obvious landing spots we're missing too is the Cowboys. Like, they went and signed Javonte Williams and they picked up Miles Sanders. So I think they're definitely regretting not picking anybody up last year. So I think in typical Jerry fashion, he's going to overcorrect. I don't know if he's going to use it as a first round pick, but I think he's going to go and make sure they get a running back for Schottenheimer and for Dak and CeeDee Lamb, and try to, make have one more weapon out there for them.
To that Dallas point, I can see Dallas double tapping running back like the Packers did with Jones and Jamal Williams. That backfield's wide open in Dallas.
Yeah, the backfield's wide open. That offensive line is probably the worst offensive line in the NFL right now. I don't know how they're going to address it, but there's no way that they can take a running back early in this draft. And they're the Cowboys, though. So I mean, that goes out the window as far as logic. And they don't really care. They can probably throw Dak out there and have him, get injured halfway through the season again. It's just, but they'll have a running back. But Cincinnati's going to be a spot too. Chase Brown's got a massive sell in Dynasty right now. I'd probably get him off my roster just because I want to get rid of Kyron Williams too, but that's a conversation for a different podcast.
I'll buy you Chase Brown.
All right.
All right.
I gotta get you in one of these leagues, man. We're in 1,000 leagues over here. I gotta get you in a Degens league.
Let's do it.
We'll find a spot for you for sure. On to the next question in the mailbag. This comes in from De Equinox FF. Yesterday, he put this in the trade advice chat. So the settings were, I believe, a 12-team superflex, start 3 wide receivers. So would you trade Jalen Hurts, CMC, and the 307 for Penix, JT, Ricky Purcell, Bateman, a mid to late first and second in 2026?
Hold on. So we have Hurts, CMC,
and the 307
for
Penix, JT, Purcell, Bateman, a 26, 1 and 2.
So it's 12-team super flex, start 3, full PPR. All right. Yeah. So Hurts to me is probably a Penix. A first. Yeah, that's not enough for me. No, not at all. I'm looking at all the filler. Like, I like Bateman. I do. I like Bateman a lot. But he's not. JT is definitely not a filler. Like, I love JT, but JT and CMC probably are looking at a similar workload this year. I'm not going to say they cancel each other out, but I would say JT. I would say CMC and. No, I can't do it. It's not awful. Like, JT is mid first. Penix, I think, is probably a mid first in this class. Yeah, it's not close. No.
Yeah, go ahead, Curdy. I know you were in on that conversation yesterday as well.
All I would tell him is if you're going to trade Hurts and you need wide receiver, because he said his other quarterbacks were Mahomes and Geno.
Yeah.
He said he was deep at running back and his wide receivers are Pittman, McMillan, and Olave. Like, pump the brakes. We don't set lineups until September. So if you want to dangle Hurts out there in front of the league, put him on the block, see what wide receiver you can get, and concentrate on getting wide receiver for him. Don't get that fluff of Penix and Bateman. And I mean, JT's a stud, but how many can you start if you're already deep? So definitely hold for now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're getting JT as the only reliable asset in that deal. I know that he wants Penix because he is a Falcons fan. But like you said, you're not setting your lineup right now. I think if you're going to go in and tier off of Hurts, I'm looking to get a wide receiver that's kind of in that 1-2 turn in startup value. You know, you're getting an Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're getting a BTJ, and then you can get draft capital that way. And you shore up your wide receivers and it's a locked and loaded player in your starting lineup. You're not getting, you know, somebody that you hope that you can flex and kind of scores in that wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 3 range. So I don't think there's any rush to make this trade now unless it's an absolute slam dunk. And I don't think this trade is a slam dunk.
Yeah, I agree. Before we get out to the next question, I'm going to kick it over. So we're going to be talking about Player Profiler. So we are an affiliate of Player Profiler. It's a site that we hold true to all of our value ranks, and we just, you know, we hold a lot of weight to the content that we provide over there. So it's really just like a nice symbiotic relationship. And they do have a lot of content that can help you out in your rookie drafts, including a rookie draft guide that we just helped and we published, and it's out right now. So our buddy Theo just dropped that, and then he moved on to a different place, and we respect him, love him. He's always a good friend of mine. I love that he left us with that parting gift, but I'm going to plug that right now, and then I'm going to tell you about our promo code right after that.
Theo Greminger is gone. We wish him all the best, but he did leave for us a great gift, the 2025 Player Profiler Rookie Guide. That's right. It is here. It is beautiful. It will help you dominate your rookie drafts this year. It features 60-plus player breakdowns, written primarily by Theo Greminger himself, as well as our proprietary NFL draft grades and strategy and tactics for dominating your rookie draft this year. We have a composite rankings with Theo's rankings, Cody, John Lobb, Jagger May, and Jax Falcone. It's right there on Player Profiler. It's $20. You won't find a better draft kit. You certainly won't find a better draft kit value. So go get it on PlayerProfiler.com.
Yeah, so go over to PlayerProfiler.com, plug our promo code Degens, so DEGEN, and then you can get a deposit, or not a deposit match, but you'll get $25 off for that. And then go to Fast Draft and draft some rookies, and then go over their IDP and you know, various flex fours and all of their stuff that they do over there. So Fast Draft, same promo code, that's DEGEN, and you can get a deposit match over there. So deposit match on Fast Draft, and then add a discount over on PlayerProfiler.com. But let's kick it off. Next episode, next question, and then we're probably going to sign out of here.
Okay, so next question comes in from, he's going to be our redraft host on the Degens team. This comes from Buy and Sell You. Being that many models have him as a better prospect than Marv, Neighbors, and Odunze, if a team announces Travis Hunter as their wide receiver 1, does he jump Ashton Genty for the 101 in rookie drafts? Who wants to tackle that one first?
I'll go to you, Curdy.
I don't see Hunter 1 in the tier of Neighbors or 2 jumping Ashton Genty. And I could be wrong. I'm ready to be wrong. Janty is projected 6 right now to the Raiders. We'll have more information after the draft, but running backs that get drafted that high smash every single time. The only one that didn't was Sony Michel. I'm sure Hunter is 102 for sure if he's drafted top 5 Patriots, they announced him as their wide receiver tied to Drake May. I would be weary if he went to Cleveland as their wide receiver tied to now Joe Flacco, who does play YOLO ball. But I would not take Hunter over Ashton Jeanty right now.
Yeah, I think that Genty's still going to hold the value over Hunter. Hunter would definitely jump Odunze, Marvin Harrison Jr. for me if he was a full wide receiver. I think Neighbors is a different conversation, but he's in that BTJ range for me if he's going to be full wide receiver right away. He's actually somebody that if you listen to our Travis Hunter profile that Jagger and I did, we comped him to Brian Thomas Jr. So that's how we have him as far as a wide receiver goes. But yeah, I think that Genty's still going to be the guy at 101. And that's probably going to still be like people wary of Hunter's usage because he could say he's going to be a full wide receiver, but that could change. Like you could take this guy 101 and then next year a new coaching tree comes down and they just say, oh, we want to play more defense and we want you playing more defense. His role could change at any moment. If he gets a new coach, if they get a new wide receiver, if there's, all they get is a new defensive coordinator and he could be more of a defensive back than he is a wide receiver. And that there's no surefire way to predict that. It's just going to be by chance most of the time. So I think that Genty's going to be that he's year to year going to be the running back he's going to be the cornerstone running back for a franchise, at least for 3 years, at least till his rookie contract's over, So I would, if I wanted Hunter, he'd probably be the 102 and I'd trade back to the 102 if I need to do that. If I'm not ready for a Genty and I think Hunter's going to give me a bigger window, which I don't know because there's so many variables, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to ever take Hunter over Genty at this stage of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with this hypothetical question, I'm with you guys. Like if Hunter comes out and gets drafted by the Patriots and we hear that he is going to be a wide receiver, I'm still keeping him as the 102. You're going to see him jump up multiple rounds in startup drafts. And, he might get to where BTJ is, where he's a 1-2 turn player. But I don't think you can just go wrong with drafting Ashton Jeanty at the 101. It's such a complete game with him. He can be that workhorse back. He has the receiving role. I just don't see anywhere that I would be comfortable taking Hunter as the 101.
Yeah. All agreed, all simpatico. And I think that's all we have for the mailbag questions, right?
That was it. So thanks everybody in the Discord for getting us some questions so we can film a show for you guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're trying to do more for the Discord, trying to offer you guys up more stuff. So if you are not in our Discord right now, definitely DM me or the Mad Dog or even Curdy and let us know that you want to jump in and we can set you up, send you the link. It's all free. It's all value. We talk about trades. We talk about startups, anything that you guys need help with. That's really what it's open for. So I think it's an advantage for anybody that is not in Discord to jump in and take advantage of that for your dynasty leagues and then upcoming rookie drafts as well. Curdy, tell everybody where they can find you and let them know what you're doing in the space.
Yeah. Give me a follow on the X Machine at OG Curdy, and in the space, looking to get reps in for pods, dropping some shorts. Go check out the Stafford buy and Jordan Mason buy. Nerd Boy with an awesome mock up for that, and about to be dropping some cool stuff with the undroppables too.
Nice. What's up with Mad Dog? Let them know where to find you, and then tell them anything that's going on.
All right, so you guys can find me on Twitter at ff_DeMadDog. My DMs are always open, like Nerd and Curdy said. If you guys want to get into our Discord, you just reach out to me. I'm helping Nerd with some of our Degens stuff because he's working like a madman and getting all of our products out there. And it's show sheet, thumbnails, overlays. Like this guy grinds. He doesn't stop. So yeah, come jump on the Dynasty Degens team and take your fantasy football to the next level.
Hey, yo. Yeah, I need a producer. So if anybody wants a producer wrong, come DM me over there. Yeah, so like I said before, we have a couple rookie profiles next week. So I'm sitting down with who do I have? Jeff Bell, and then I have Debro. So I'm sitting down with some 2 heavy hitters next week, and we're gonna be covering certain guys. I know that we're talking RJ Harvey. Jeff Bell hasn't told me who he wants to work with yet, so that's going to be a surprise to me, maybe on the pod. I'm not sure, but it's always a fun adventure with Jeff. And then next week, we have Bradley Stadler with us for the Dynasty Show. So Bradley does a lot of work for Player Profiler, so it's going to be fun because we never agree on anything at all. So it's going to be a fun discourse to have him on the podcast. But we appreciate you joining us for the special, and we will see you guys for the Dynasty Show next week.